You can't fight like 2 days in a row.
Wasn't the Tyson-Jake fight, wasn't that amazing?
Yeah. It's amazing they got paid so much money for that.
$25 million.
Last Friday's big ringside fight could be heading to court. A Florida man has filed a $50 million lawsuit against Netflix claiming breach of contract.
Alongside the floppy streaming platform, Netflix, Iron Mike Tyson and Paul have been sued for organizing and streaming a scripted fight in the disguise of a professional boxing match. Renowned UFC commentator Joe Rogan has commented on this latest news development on the fight that was fought on November 15th. Netflix came under fire for a very poor streaming experience, as many subscribers could hardly watch the fight while it was on. Also, the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations came under fire for sanctioning a fight between fighters who weren't only 31 years apart, but who had no other thing in mind than staining the sport of boxing with a clearly scripted fight. These two mishaps have led to the filing of lawsuits against Netflix and Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. The case involving Mike Tyson and Jake Paul found its major evidence in the fight script that was leaked before the fight, Woolowath proofs that both fighters fought according to the script and only changed the result because they were aware it leaked.
Days ago, now this script has went viral. Let's see how accurate it was. The opening bell rings, Tyson is showing flashes of his old form, which actually happened. As soon as the bell went, Mike Tyson came out with that head movement pushing forward. Immediately he stalks forward with his signature.
But for the rounds scripted in the leaked script, Tyson and Jake Paul played along, which was exactly Joe Rogan's issue with the fight. It seemed so much like the fight was on Netflix because they wanted to give their subscribers a show. Well, did they get it? Not entirely. But was one of either Tyson or Jake Paul holding back? Well, per the YouTuber turned boxer, he sure did take his foot off the gas. When asked, Paul said, "Yeah, definitely a bit. I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone who didn't need to be hurt."
At any point, did you start to take your foot off the gas just a little bit because you noticed he was tiring out?
Yeah, definitely a bit. You know, I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt.
That someone being Mike Tyson? In fact, the 27-year-old even said the former world champion's punches didn't have an impact on him. I tried to give the best fight I possibly could, but when someone's just surviving in the ring, basically, it's hard to make it exciting. I couldn't really get him to engage me. Jake Paul may have bowed down to Mike Tyson in the final few seconds of the bout on November 15th, and this was another major evidence used against the pair.
Did you feel Mike's power at all?
No.
He hit you with one, and you gave him the tongue.
Only because the crowd, got turned up, but it didn't actually hurt. But, I mean...
As for Netflix, a class action lawsuit has been filed against Netflix by a Florida resident, Ronald Blue Denton, who alleges that the streaming service's technical failures during the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight ruined the viewing experience for countless subscribers, according to TMZ. The lawsuit contends that Netflix breached its contract by failing to provide a stable stream, despite announcing the event as the most streamed global sporting event ever. 60 million Americans were hyped to see Iron Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, versus YouTuber Turner prizefighter Jake Paul. What they saw was the baddest streaming on planet, the court documents obtained by the outlet read.
Tracked after subscribers dealt with buffering issues during the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. The lawsuit says at least 97,000 reports were received during the event.
Denton alleges that millions of viewers, including himself, encountered reoccurring technical issues such as buffering, glitches, and complete outages during the broadcast. The much-awaited Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson clash finally arrived on November 15th after a summer delay, but the night turned into a digital disaster. As the boxers entered the ring, the streaming platform faltered, leaving viewers stranded in a sea of buffering and glitches. Social media was flooded with angry reactions. The incident even raised concerns about the platform's ability to handle future major sporting events, such as the upcoming NFL season.
In breaking news, streaming giant Netflix is being issued a class action in relation to the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. TMZ reports the lawsuit is over streaming issues and a breach of contract. Thousands of viewers claim they had trouble watching the fight.
Several professional boxers, athletes, and celebrities expressed their disgust after hearing the fight was scripted. Among them was Joe Rogan, who didn't only rant about the scripted nature of the fight, but also about the fact that the two fighters have also been sued for faking the fight after it was licensed on professional grounds. Ever since the fight was fought, Joe Rogan's podcast has been busy with discussions on what exactly happened during the fight.
The fight was available to anyone with Netflix membership with no need to pay anything more. According to the event promoter, Most Valuable Promotions.
Was Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson scripted? That's the question that popped up on one of the most recent episodes of Joe Rogan's podcast after people witnessed Tyson look slow and sluggish. Even though the veteran was the hero coming into the fight, boos were heard all across as the fight was coming to an end, and several fans even left the venue before the scores were announced. Now, we already know that the bout was controversial because of the age difference between Tyson, 58, and Paul, 27. But what does Joe Rogan have to say about the fight outcome? American actor Josh Brolin was on the Joe Rogan Experience where he brought up the bout.
That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get hurt.
He's still quick.
Oh yeah, he's still very quick.
Dude,
but you know,
these
Mike
things.
had, he was walking with a cane just like a year and a half ago. He had
Shape.
bad sciatica.
The Tyson versus Jake fight, wasn't that amazing? Brolin started laughing, after which Joe Rogan winked and clicked his tongue, acknowledging the joke. Joe Rogan replied, "It's amazing they got paid so much for that. I think $20 and $40 million, yeah. I think that's what I heard, which I'm happy Mike got the money, and I'm happy he didn't get hurt. That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get hurt." Josh Brolin interrupted, "You have known him for a long time. I have known him for a long time." Coming back to Paul versus Mike Tyson, many felt that the marketing for this fight was off the roof, but the actual fight turned out quite abysmal, with Mike Tyson's age showing against the young Jake Paul.
$1 and $40 million?
I think 20 and 40. Yeah,
20 and
I think that's
40.
what I'd heard. Which I'm happy Mike got the money, and I'm happy that he didn't get hurt. That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get hurt.
You've known him for a long time. I've known him for a long time.
I love that dude.
Me too.
Tyson only landed 18 out of 97 shots throughout 8 3-minute rounds. While the whole world, including Joe Rogan, hoped for a miracle in Tyson's victory, the outcome of the fight reminded us all of life's ground reality. Age catches up to everyone. But hey, whether scripted or not, the fight's outcome could have been worse. Imagine if Mike Tyson lost via KO. In hindsight, one shouldn't be surprised at the outcome of Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. After all, it is unusual to sanction a fight where the opponents are about 30 years apart. For Joe Rogan, the highly anticipated bout was a stark reminder that past accolades for aging legends don't really help when going up against someone relatively younger and in their prime. On the eve of the fight between the problem child and the baddest man on the planet, Rogan took to X to voice his thoughts on the bout.
Heavyweight champion of the world, he was an executioner.
Truly.
Every fight was just a matter
I
of
don't
how
remember
long was it going to
which
last.
fight it was that I went to go see a couple of fights, and I actually went to go see Julio Cesar Chavez fight, and that's when I met Tyson in the green room, and I met at the...
No doubt, the Joe Rogan Experience host was rooting for the former World Boxing Council heavyweight champion, as he wrote, "I'm getting ready to watch this Tyson versus Jake Paul fight like I'm watching someone cast a spell that I hope actually works, and I don't really believe in magic, but I want to believe." Even though the UFC color commentator wanted to believe that Tyson had a chance against Paul, he was skeptical like everyone else. When Jake Paul won via decision against a visibly slower Mike Tyson, Rogan replied to his own post on X saying, "Magic isn't real." Well, magic may not be real, but at least Tyson didn't have to endure too much punishment in the ring.
Wow.
As a boxing fan,
That's
that was
a
a
heavy
real
moment.
But I remember, and I don't know who it was, and I think it was a 90-second fight, and I went to go see this fight, and Tyson was fighting, and this guy was doing this stuff before, and he had he had built himself into confidence.
In fact, once the fight was over, he got the respect of a few others and Jake Paul for holding on till the very end. But all that respect seems to have flown out the window after he cruised to a comfortable unanimous decision victory, and Sylvester Stallone has had enough. There's no denying that Iron Mike appeared to be a pale shadow of his former self, with a knee guard on his right leg and constant biting of his boxing glove.
And I watched the guy's face, and I watched that confidence bleed from his face instantaneously.
Yeah.
He had absolutely lost the fight long before Mike had ever gotten in the ring.
But unlike what Paul said, it looked like Tyson appeared to be setting up shots and then abandoning them before landing the final blow. This allowed fans and pros to flaunt some speculative theories, and the Rocky star has similar arguments. Stallone, 78, turned to his Instagram handle and shared multiple pictures with the former heavyweight champion. The star of the Rocky franchise had even roped Tyson once into his film Grudge Match to play himself in the post-credit scenes. So, the friendship runs deep, and the same was reflected in the caption of his Instagram post. In addition, he believed Tyson, at 57, put in a dismal display as a sacrifice for his family. While sharing a couple of their pictures together, Stallone wrote, "Just to set my personal record straight, business is business. Sometimes you have to do hard things and sacrifice for the sake of helping your family. I have known this unbelievable athlete since he's 19 years old, and what we saw was him giving one of the greatest Oscar-winning performances of all time." And then, in proper Rocky Balboa fashion, he put the 28-year-old in his place.
To set my personal record straight, business is business. Sometimes you have to do the hard things and sacrifice for the sake of helping your family. I have known this unbelievable athlete since he's 19 years old.
Please, Jake, be grateful. He spared your life. Trust me. The caption read further. The action star then pushed Paul at 11-1 to try Tyson for real. He also shared the tale of once bumping into baddest man on planet and compared it to getting hit by a bulldozer. He added, "Keep punching Mike. There will never be a man like you, a gladiator like you, and a soul like you. Keep punching the champion of champions. I remember once I bumped into him and thought I was hit by a runaway bulldozer." As for Mike Tyson, this loss may have gone on to his professional record, but that didn't seem to matter to the 58-year-old. What mattered to him was the fact that he walked into a Tant stadium and put on a show like he promised. Yes, he may have slowed down after the second round, but he put up a fight till the final bell. "I didn't prove nothing to anybody, only to myself," Tyson said.
Is this possibly the last time for you?
I don't think so.
You've got more in you. Who comes to mind?
Well, I don't know. Maybe his brother.
"I'm not one of those guys that looks to please the world. I'm just happy with what I can do." However, the former world champion did admit to being grateful for his opponent showing his respect inside the ring, per Daily Mail. After the fight, Iron Mike even tweeted, "This is one of those situations when you lost but still won. I'm grateful for last night. No regrets about getting in the ring one last time." Jake Paul replied to the tweet, "Love you, Mike. It was an honor. You're an inspiration to us all." That said, Sly Stallone expressed his candid opinion of the fight between Tyson and Paul, and he wasn't pleased with the 28-year-old, but he was not the only one to raise skepticism. Carl Froch had done it even before the fight. Froch, 47, alleged that the contract between Paul and Tyson had a particular stipulation for the latter.
It was crap, wasn't it? Let's be honest. The fight itself was awful. What happened in the fight? What happened in the ring? There was no substance. It's like when you're cooking a meal all day. You cook up a nice broth. You put your organic steak mince in. You put your potatoes in. Your sweet potatoes are a bit better for you.
To not knock out Paul, he said, "Depends what it says in the contract, doesn't it?" Allegedly, there's a clause in there that says Tyson can't go for it as a knockout, so we'll see, won't we? The former British world champion also contested for the fight to be fought under exhibition rules. You would also remember how Paul's $5 million bet offer to Tyson had caused an uproar among the fans. However, these rumors can't be confirmed. Therefore, Froch and Stallone's opinions remain unverified as of now and hold only personal sentiments. In fact, even former NFL player Michael Irvin hinted at this in an appearance on Colin Cowherd's podcast. "I was looking for that patent one in the body, one on the uppercut," Irvin said.
A bit better for you. Bit of vegetables, all your stock, and you're slow cooking it all day. And then at the end of the day, when you dip the spoon in and you have a little sample and it tastes like absolute shit, you think to yourself, what a waste of time that was. And that's what this fight was.
When he hits that, it's boom, boom, boom. I want to see that. But we didn't get that, not one. And I saw someone else say that it was in the contract. No uppercuts. They had it in the contract. However, listening to accusations like this made Most Valuable Promotions co-founder Nikisa Badarian say that people only make such comments if they're dumb or looking for attention.
The fight itself was a massive anticlimax. It was fucking crap. It was a waste of time. I'm glad I didn't stay up late to watch it. All the people that pay good money to be there and watch it, they must be disappointed with that performance. The fight was absolutely hopeless. It was terrible.
Well, regardless of the controversy surrounding Tyson's latest fight, Joe Rogan still had some words of praise for Mike Tyson, comparing him with UFC champion Jon Jones. There are tons of similarities between Jon Jones and Mike Tyson. Both are considered pinnacles in their respective sports, and both have had a history of trouble outside their respective sports. Tyson became the youngest heavyweight boxing champion at age 20 and made quick work of some of the best boxers in history. Jones became the youngest UFC champion by winning the light heavyweight title at 23, again disposing of some of the best names in the sport of MMA. It's no wonder that Joe Rogan can't help but draw comparisons between the two and talk about them in the same vein.
Put up on my Instagram the other day that somebody made. It was me talking about trying to explain why Jon exists. That there's people that are just different. They're wired different, and they are uncommon amongst uncommon men. They rise to the top of the top.
It's conquerors. That's what it is. They're both conquerors. Joe Rogan told Hollywood star Josh Brolin, who himself confessed his admiration for Jones on the latest episode of JRE. I had this thing that I put up on my Instagram the other day that somebody made. It was me talking about trying to explain why Jon exists, that there's people that are just different. They're wired differently. They are uncommon amongst uncommon men. Despite their accolades, both fighters found themselves on the wrong side of the law on numerous occasions. According to Rogan, their unhinged behavior outside the fighting realm is what contributes to their dominance within. There's no separating one from the other. Mike Tyson has been out of his prime for almost 2 decades now, and Jon Jones is nearing the twilight of his career.
They're the black op of their
dominate. They just dominate, and that's Jon. He's just the greatest of all time.
It's exciting
he's
to watch.
37 years old, and he's still the greatest.
I mean,
that's
watching that fight, watching, Tyson or Jake Paul or whatever.
Undoubtedly, Jones has left a legacy that, at this point in the MMA landscape, no one can even touch. Moreover, Joe Rogan was left with no words when Jon Jones dominated the former 2-time heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic in only his second heavyweight outing at UFC 309. The UFC commentator and podcaster said he'd miss Jon Jones when the latter retires, and that the 28, one legend's departure from the sport will leave a void in the mixed martial arts world.
Watching that fight, watching those fights. It wasn't the only fight. The one before was... what was his name? The fight before Jon Jones.
Oh, for a lot of fight fans, 2 names ring a bell when thinking about the UFC: Conor McGregor, the biggest superstar, and Jon Jones, the greatest of all time. Joe Rogan would also agree, and has claimed that there is something different about Jones when compared to every other fighter he's seen. His journey has been unique and incomparable, especially after how he dominated Stipe Miocic at UFC 309. When the time comes when Jones decides to hang up his fighting gloves for good, there may never be another fighter who can replicate the things that the 28, one legend has done for 16 years under the UFC banner. Jon is a special dude. When he's gone, we're all gonna miss him. He's a different kind of guy. I mean, he's been at the top for 14 freaking years. He was the youngest guy to ever win a UFC title, 23. But when Jon Jones won that title at 23, it's just been destruction of everyone ever since, Joe Rogan added.
And Michael Chandler. Yeah, incredible
Great fight.
Incredible fight.
Amazing fight.
Yeah. Yeah, Jon he's a special dude. When he's gone, we're all going to miss him. He's a different kind of guy.
Never ducked anybody, fought all the best, destroyed everybody, and dominated his division, then went up to heavyweight, dominated at heavyweight. Joe Rogan then moved to Mike Tyson. He was like larger-than-life figure of my childhood. When I was a kid, when he was the champ, it was like people don't understand what a champ he was. Like he wasn't just the heavyweight champion of the world, he was an executioner. Every fight was just a matter of how long was it going to last. What childhood was Rogan talking about after all? The UFC commentator is just a year younger than the veteran pugilist. Well, let us not forget that Iron Mike Tyson, on March 6, 1985, made his professional boxing debut at the age of 18. He knocked out Hector Mercedes in round 1. His career took off, and by Nov 22, 1986, he became the youngest champion in heavyweight history. Mike Tyson was just 20, and Rogan would have been a 19-year-old back then.
I mean, he's been at the top for 14 fucking years. He won the title as the youngest guy to ever win a
20?
UFC title, 23.
23.
And Mike was the youngest heavyweight champion of all
20.
time at 20, which is
I remember.
really crazy.
Crazy.
But when Jon Jones won that title,
However, at 37 years old, Jon Jones hasn't shown any signs of slowing down, even though he claims that retirement is on the horizon. The supposed greatest of all time has only legacy fights in mind right now, but what fans want is to see him give that chance to new up-and-comers like Tom Aspinall. Regardless, for all his achievements, Jon Jones has cemented his legacy as one of the greatest to ever do it in MMA. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.